Yo, what's up guys? Have you ever felt like you couldn't do something just because you didn't have the money to sink into your dream? It feels really disheartening knowing you want to do something but feeling like you just aren't able to no matter what. Now, shoegaze in the name is already pretty inaccessible for most people in the traditional sense. And I'm not gonna make a big speech about the world right now. But it's not an easy time for a lot of people, and it's gonna get a lot worse for a lot of people. So, but right now is not an easy time to be buying massive pedal boards and amp rigs. So today, I'm going to show you how to make shoegaze and any other genre of music for that matter for as little to as close to no money as possible by showing you some different and less traditional ways of creating the style of music, because no price barrier should stop you from creating what's in your head. But with that being mentioned, I do want to mention that the best way to support me and the channel is by checking out my online shop where you can get drum kits, loops, and mixing and guitar tone presets, as well as other things to help you make your music. And I've decided to discount my complete bundle for the next few months, so if you want to support the channel, please check it out, and let's get on with the video, and let me show you how to make shoegaze for free. So I'm just going to start out. This isn't going to include DAWs. There's plenty of free DAWs out there, and it really does not matter what you use. They all will lead you to the same sound. There's not going to be a difference between them in the end product that you make. Just pick one you like and just go with that. But what I am going to be taking a look at are what I consider to be the three main things that you need to make shoegaze music. An amp to project those loud sounds, effects pedals to get that signature sound, and of course, your guitar to play the music. And I think you guys might find my free alternative for that quite interesting. So let's take a look at what amps you can use. For a free option, we are of course going to be looking at some modelers, which in the big 2025 sound just as good, if not better to some people, than a real amplifier. On top of that, modelers offer you so much more flexibility than a traditional amp. Some good free amp sims I'd recommend are Black Vibe by Analog Obsession. It's a Fender style clean amp, and I've used tons of Analog Obsession's plugins in my videos and in my own music, and they're some of the best plugins that I've found, period. Another option is the JCM 800 Hot Preamp by Mercurial, which, like the name suggests, mimics JCM 800, which has been famously used by many shoegaze musicians like Kevin Shields. And if you want to count Smashing Pumpkins as shoegaze, Billy Corgan used this amp a bunch on all of their classic albums. Alright, now onto the pedals. So for this, we're going to be taking a similar approach as the amp and use plugins. I highly recommend the free plugins that Nembrini Audio has on their website. They've got a Big Muff, Rat, a Tube Screamer, hey, even a Klon if you're into that bluesy stuff, and all the classic gear you need. But I'd also recommend checking out Analog Obsession for some pedally stuff, or just scrolling around pluginsforfree.com and seeing what cool effects pique your interest. This way, you may be able to create sounds that wouldn't have even been possible through traditional pedals, at least not without spending millions of dollars on it. And I think that's the essence of shoegaze, experimentation. If you look at prominent shoegaze pioneers like Kevin Shields, they became pioneers of the genre simply because they experimented and did things that no one else was doing. So you can do the same thing by using some weird plugins no one's ever heard of that you found for free on some random website. How cool is that? Now obviously using plugins has its drawbacks, and one thing you may be asking is, well, how would you do all of this live then if you're using plugins? Well, there's nothing stopping you from bringing your laptop to your local gig and using it like a Kemper. Just plug it into the front of house and play away. If you've got a decent enough system, latency shouldn't be much of an issue for you. Now let's look at what we can do for a guitar sound. So something I've noticed from a lot of modern shoegaze being made is that on top of people forgoing the traditional huge pedal board and amp setups, people are now not even playing the guitar. Using a guitar sample library or VST for shoegaze is a great option, because with all the effects on top, it becomes very hard to tell if it's a real guitar or not. And if you're not concerned with how real it sounds, it provides its own unique sort of character and sound that's pretty cool and interesting. Like it or not, it's definitely becoming a staple of the genre. I recommend the free plugins offered by Ample Sound. They also have a really great bass plugin that I use from time to time if I don't feel like recording a real bass guitar. And I've even used their bass plugin on some professional tracks that I've produced for people, and no one can tell the difference. Just to end things off, I want to briefly go over some options if you have a little bit of money to spend on gear. And out of all these things, I think having a good amp for playing live or recording is the most important, because it doesn't matter how nice your guitar is or how cool your pedal board is. If your amp sucks and can't put out a good sound, then nobody will listen. So for all these things, I recommend checking out the used market. Places like Facebook Marketplace, Reverb, and eBay are great places to look. I think I'll make a more in-depth guide video on how to properly look for and acquire gear on the used market, because I think it's, especially now, something that's very important, and a lot of people tend to just buy rubbish when they're buying used, and then they never buy used and they end up overpaying for everything. And I just think buying used is the best thing you can do. Anyways, now that I've shown you all of these low-cost alternatives to making shoegaze, I hope that nobody is discouraged by the cost of making music anymore, and that you guys can start making the songs that you have, and that you guys can start making the songs that you've always had in your head. If you liked this video, please leave a like and a comment. If you really liked it, please consider subscribing. And if you want to support the channel, please check out my online shop, and I'll see you guys in the next one. Peace.